If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear.
Well, hello you gorgeous mother truckers you, and welcome to another video, and a warm welcome to all the new subscribers that have recently joined the channel. It's nice to have you on board. So the defence spending review is up, and the government's decided that we need to prepare for war. We're going to build 12 new attack submarines that take about 10 years each to build. And before anyone goes, we could build 12 at the same time. We really can't. We're pushed if we can get 2 going at the same time. So you're looking at a investment in submarines that aren't going to be ready for at least 10 years. And then you'll have the issue of the crews, because this is the other issue that they haven't addressed, which is no one's joining, or hardly anyone's joining the armed forces anymore, because why would you? Especially if you're of my skin colour, because they don't really want you. So we have this. We're going to build new munitions factories. We're going to invest in new nuclear weapons, because nothing speaks getting ready to end the world than investing in new ways of doing that. Now, they're going to go on about GDP, defence spending on GDP, and it's supposed to be around about 3%. And they made a commitment to 3% by the end of the year. Now they're realising that they maybe won't be able to do that. So it's an ambition now. It's not a we're going to. It's an ambition. And Keir Starmer wants to portray him as the leader of the coalition of the willing and the EU, but other EU countries are investing more in defence than we are. But the point being is, what is the end game in all of this? Why have they suddenly come to the conclusion, and I mean, it is suddenly, since Labour took over, that there's going to be a war. Russia's this huge threat. Russia was potentially, if you want to go down on, was a threat when they walked into the Crimea, and no one did anything. They've been a threat with the war of Ukraine for a fair few years now, and we've done nothing. And now all of a sudden they're a threat. Even though if you believe the Ukrainian propaganda and the massive drone strike, and if you believe that, you'll believe anything, on Russian naval assets and their naval air force, destroying an awful lot of their Tu-95 Bears, which is their long-range reconnaissance aircraft. And for those of you who don't know, they're an old piston-driven engined aircraft. Picture will be up there. And underneath you'll see there's a big bulge underneath, and it's called a big bulge radar. And what it does is they send bears out to go looking for our fleets. They paint the target with the big bulge radar, transmitting the information back to Badgers and what's the other ones that follow? Badgers and can't remember the other name of the other bomber. In any case, the bombers, blinders, I think. And they program that radar information into their anti-ship missiles so they can launch at maximum range. The Russians have never made a replacement to these aircraft. And due to the Ukrainian drone strike, most of that fleet of aircraft have been destroyed, and there is no replacement, and the parts are very hard to get by. So basically, the naval aviation wing of the Russian Air Force has pretty much been wiped off the face of the planet. So where is this threat? Where are they getting this opinion that Russia is about to launch a war? Even though as I said, they've lost some naval assets as well. Their air force, their naval aviation threat has been pretty much eliminated. Pretty much in a very similar scenario to the Dreamland operation, codenamed Dreamland, which is the preemptive strike on Russia in the event of World War III. It's probably got a different name now, but that's what it was. And it's very similar to that. Because we've got this perceived threat. And then the fact that they've lost so much equipment in the Ukraine, their tanks and that have been proven to be not as good as everybody claimed it is. It reminds me very much of when the MiG-25 Foxbat came out. which caused the sudden rushing out of the F-15 Eagle, because this was the new air superiority fighter that the Russians had, and it was the best thing since sliced bread until they got their hands on one and realised it was just a steaming pile of shit, like most Russian aviation was at the time. Although, to be fair, it did hurry up the creation of one of the greatest air superiority fighters ever made. That is the F-15 Eagle. You can fight me on that, but at the moment was back then. It was the best fourth generation air superiority fighter, and it's even going to be continued to be used now because it's such a good platform. I digress. But they're perceiving this threat where, if you actually take the time to look, there is no threat. There is no real reason why Russia would want to do anything, unless, of course, it has been provoked into doing so. And we're not provoking them in any way, shape or form, are we? The biggest question is it appears that the West has decided there's going to be a war all of a sudden. And they're arming up for a war all of a sudden. Where in reality, there's no real perceived threat. And the question is, why are we ramping up for a war? Why are we continually trying to provoke one? For instance, a couple of days ago, they were threatening to take the Black Sea back off the Russians. Yeah, it's just steaming to their territorial waters. What could possibly go wrong? You know, you're all sitting there going, we want lasting peace. We want peace in the Ukraine. Then yesterday announcing that you want to almost triple the amount of nuclear warheads, increase our attack submarine capability. By the way, I'll do a thing on the submarines. The ones that we got now aren't exactly, should we say, come out the shipyard awesome at all. But in any case, and all of this without the understanding that we just don't have the capability because we just don't have the manpower. I heard an argument on this morning when they said, oh, well, you know, America and Europe outnumber the Russians. Yeah, but the problem is when you ask Russians to fight, they'll fight. You ask anyone in Europe and half the population, because they don't see whichever country they're in as their country, aren't going to fight and will potentially be agitators and aggressors in those countries in the event of war. But we don't address that. We don't address that the British Army, for every one recruit that goes in, 3 leave. 3 experienced troops leave. The fact that the Royal Navy, to crew the 2 aircraft carriers, had to mothball 7 ships to get enough people to crew them, because hardly anyone's joining the Royal Navy. The Royal Air Force is now screaming out for pilots after spending an inordinate amount of time not wanting white male pilots, and now they haven't got enough pilots because, yeah, that backfires. You see, this defensive spending review, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. It's basically sabre rattling in one respect, poking the bear with a stick with another, but not addressing the fact that our armed forces is in shit order, absolute shit order. We used to be the best. We're lucky if we're C grade now. And that's an appraisal from our greatest ally. And I'm also going, oh, the Americans, but without the Americans, we'd be in trouble. We really, really would. And I'm not talking about World War II, I'm talking about right now. You know, I mean, the F-15s are leaving Lakenheath now, so, yeah. I mean, don't forget, we've also given away our Chagos Islands to China's best friend, and part of that deal is we have to tell Mauritius if we're ever going to launch strike package off the bases that on an island that we used to own that we now rent off them. So we have to tell Mauritius we're going to go bomb someone so they can get on the phone and tell them before we bomb them. This is the wonderful tactical nuance of our new government that's banging on about we got to go fight a war when we're in no fit state, and all the things that they're announcing don't happen overnight. It takes a long, long time. You want to build up our weapons, munitions stores, stop fucking sending it to the Ukraine. That might help. That might help a little bit. And instead of outsourcing the recruitment of soldiers to a third-party organisation that have absolutely no knowledge or experience of anything military, and put it back into as it used to be when I joined up, where it was actually army officers, army personnel that did it, then you actually got a reasonable thing. But now you have to go through forms and everybody gets thrown out, and it's just ridiculous. And if you look like me, you're not really wanted. Although you'll notice that the adverts are slowly but steadily showing white men and black men. Yeah, whereas before it was very much focused on women and Muslims, because we have to push the box ticking exercise. But now once it starts talking about white guys and black guys and not so much women and Muslims, you know shit's incoming, because they really need us, whether they like it or not. But you're paying the price. And the fact that the army's got that woke, and I'll do a video on that very shortly as well, because I think it's time to sort of keep up to date with my military and news, because that's important, especially now. That you can't shout at recruits anymore because you might upset them. Yeah, it's dangerous times. Our governments are pushing for World War III. Because remember, when it all comes down to it, ladies and gentlemen, we're the carbon that they want to get rid of the most. Any case, 2 videos coming up at the end of this one. One will be the last one I've uploaded. The other one will be the one that the gods of YouTube, with its mighty, mighty algorithm, was selected just for you. It's called the Chosen One. If you agree with what I'm doing, just you hit that subscribe button. Many of you have recently joined. That's because YouTube allowed one video to go viral for a bit and opened the floodgates to people to see that I'm another person speaking the way they want people to speak. But hit that one now. Hit the bell. Ding the notification bell. Lets you know I've done another video. There are ways, if you wish to support the channel. They're listed down below, but that's purely up to you. No pressure whatsoever. And with that, I am done. So, until the next one.
Spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun.